Hey guys, Mark Anthony here. I'm coming to you from Berlin. It's an amazing city. I'm really excited to be here, and yeah, it's just been catching up with Costa and Carolyn, having a wonderful time here. But today, what I want to address with you guys is the three reasons why people don't heal, and these are probably like just the key points. Um, I mean, I had an instant healing myself, and that's been an incredible journey. But there's a lot of people that I've worked with over the years, and many of them healed, many of them didn't, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. And because I know how easy healing is, but then also there were things in my own life that I'd work on, and they didn't seem to heal. I'd seem to get caught up on things, or just it was happening slower than what I was expecting it to, or what I was wanting it to, as quickly as I wanted it to happen. So what I want to address with you today is just the key things, and I think firstly what's really important is identifying what the real issue is, because I remember working with a lady once who had a fear of spiders, and we went through the digging process, got down to a memory of her being at school, and she had to stand up in front of the class. She was in primary school, and she wasn't able to to get her words out. She wasn't able to speak, and the class laughed at her. And so the real issue for her was about public speaking. And so what happens is there's always something underlying it. You've got your presenting issue, and that's never the real cause. There's always something underneath it that you need to identify. So when we changed her issue around public speaking, all of a sudden the fear of spiders disappeared. And what was even more interesting was she'd recently taken a promotion in her job, and what that promotion entailed was her actually speaking and presenting in front of her colleagues. So the fear of spiders came up at the perfect time to allow her to move forward in her career, to allow her to move forward in her job. So there's always a real issue underlying it all. And so oftentimes what it comes down to is worthiness. And worthiness is a big deal for all of us, as long as we're in a space where we're feeling like we're on our own, right? As long as you feel like you're on your own, then worthiness is going to come up for you, because there's so many insecurities that we have in our lives. There's so many little things that have happened in our lives to diminish our self-esteem, to make us feel like we're not good enough, whether it's our parents or teachers telling us, oh, you should have done this or you should have done that. And so the worthiness issues can come up, and worthiness issues are very common for a lot of people. But here's the important thing when it comes to worthiness issues. Worthiness is related to viral. So if you've got viruses in your body, then what's going to happen is your worthiness issues are going to be, coming up a little bit more, you could say. So if that's the case, then what's happening is there's probably work that you need to be doing on your immune system. There's work that you need to be doing to really boost your immune system. So exercising is a really important thing when it comes to boosting your immune system and helping yourself. But the other thing too is certain vitamins can help you as well, like things like echinacea, things like andrographis, olive leaf extract, those sorts of things. So there's plenty of things. There's even something that I bring with me when I travel, actually. I've got some vitamins here. Turmeric's a good one. But I've got these things like garlic pearls. So they're just like garlic, and I, having a Lebanese background, I love garlic, right? So those sorts of things are really good just for boosting your immune system, because if your immune system is working well, then you're going to find that your your worthiness issues are going to be diminished, because all of us have worthiness issues. So if you can stay on top of that and really, really help yourself in the space of looking after your immune system and keeping your body healthy and keeping yourself active, so eating the right foods, looking after yourself, then what you're going to find is your worthiness issues are going to diminish. And so you're going to be feeling a lot better about yourself, and you're going to be finding that things work out for you a lot better, so that you're actually doing really well. So worthiness is a big thing. Another thing that's really important that I've found in relation to that is, oaths, vows, and contracts. So if you have an oath, vow, or contract to actually help somebody, then what can happen is you can actually, create issues for yourself in your own life. Now, for example, if I have an oath to help my mother, and let's say, my mother's got, health issues. So what can happen is unconsciously I can take on her health issues because I have an oath to help her. And as long as I have that oath, vow, or contract to help her or to save her or to, to take care of her, then what can happen is I can be taking on her health issues, which when I'm clearing them in myself, it's going to be like frustrating, because it doesn't matter how many times I clear it in myself, it's always going to come back. And the reason why it's going to come back is because I've still got the oath, vow, or contract to actually help her, to take care of her, to save her, whatever the case is. And so what you'll find is, as long as there is an oath, vow, or contract that you're holding on to help somebody or to save somebody, it could be like saving the planet. And so you may be finding yourself, anytime you're hearing about bushfires happening in a particular country or something, it really hurts you inside. So it could be that you have an oath, vow, or contract that's actually locking you into that situation and constantly affecting your own health. It's constantly affecting yourself in, getting better and improving your own life. So, it's really important to recognize what those oaths, vows, or contracts are. And another really big one when it comes to oaths, vows, or contracts is, if you've been like a priest or a nun or, in some sort of religious order in a past life, or, maybe you've taken on genetically even that you have sacrificed yourself. So you've got an oath, vow, or contract to only love God, or to, only love Jesus, or you're saving yourself for God. Then what can happen is you may find yourself in relationships, and for some reason it just never feels right. And maybe that's because unconsciously you may be thinking that you're actually cheating on God by actually, being in a relationship. And so it's really important to be able to recognize those sorts of things. If there's any oaths, vows, or contracts that you've got to save yourself, or, like even for celibacy or something like that. So that's a really common thing that really comes up there. But it's important to recognize that if you have that sort of issue, then what's going to happen is maybe all of a sudden you've got issues in your I'll just put this on silent. So what you'll find, if you've got that sort of issue happening, I've got my computer in front of me, and anyway, let's just forget about that one for the moment. Okay. So if you've got an oath, vow, or contract to, what was I saying, Teresa? What was I saying? I've got Teresa on the phone, by the way.
No contract.
Yeah, but before that.
Around celibacy and...
Yeah, so basically, if you've got like an oath, vow, or contract around celibacy and you're in a relationship, then what can be happening is you may find yourself, having issues with fertility. You may find yourself having, issues where when you're intimate with somebody, it just feels so wrong, like you can't get into it, or maybe you're finding yourself holding yourself back. So that's how it can affect you on a physical level. So you may consciously have an issue that you've got around fertility or around, intimacy, but the truth is it may be just like an oath, vow, contract. So it's about identifying what the real issue is there, like what's really going on. And I remember myself when I had my back issues, when I had, when I nearly died, a lot of it came back to issues around, my father, like feeling unsupported. He died when I was 16. So on a conscious level, I had plenty of support around me, but unconsciously, because my father wasn't there, I felt that I was actually unsupported, and that's what the issues around the back are. So it's really important to allow ourselves to really identify what's down there, what's really going on, what the real issue is, and that's where the digging work is really important. So Um, another thing that really comes up and is really prominent when it comes to identifying what the real issues are is if we've got old religious beliefs, right? So I remember growing up and being in like a very strong Catholic family and having a lot of relatives that were very religious. It was wonderful. Like, the thing is like having that sort of faith was really, really valuable, and I really appreciate that, even though for many years I resented it. But the truth is like having that upbringing was really important in being able to establish that basis or that foundation of faith. And faith is really important. But basically, a lot of people back in the days, would look at somebody who was really sick or they had a lot of issues happening in the family, and there was a real consciousness of, oh, they're going straight to heaven. So it was like there was beliefs there around, like, the more you suffered, the more pain and struggle that you go through, then what happens is you've got like a free ticket into heaven, basically. So there's a lot of religious beliefs that can be holding us back, that can be the real issue why things aren't happening in a particular area of our lives. So, as far as your career is concerned, if you believe that money's evil, then what's going to happen is you're going to make sure that you're sabotaging yourself in that area. So that's another one of those religious beliefs. It's a misperception, by the way, but the truth is when you're looking at those sorts of issues around money and around religion, then the truth is faith or religion is always built around faith, and faith is about creating abundance from lack. It's about creating health from sickness. That's what real faith is about. And so if you are limiting yourself because of your faith in the area of finances or any other area, then what's going to happen is you're contradicting the truth of what that faith is really about. And so, another thing that really, and this is probably the key in all the areas of our lives, right, is faith. When you have faith that something is possible, it will happen. I remember myself when I first had my healing, and I went to see this practitioner, and to be totally honest with you, it didn't matter who was sitting in front of me. It didn't matter where I was. I walked in there ready to heal. And the truth is it didn't matter what they did. I was going to heal because I had faith that this was it, that this was going to work. I had faith, absolute faith in Theta Healing, that it was going to heal me. And that's the key. And because over the years, I've seen many people come to me. And it was really funny because there have been times where I've done healing sessions on somebody and I've felt like I've absolutely nailed it. I've nailed their bottom beliefs and this person's going to heal 100%. And they tell me that they didn't feel too much. They didn't feel anything different. And it blows me away. And I really didn't understand it. It was actually quite frustrating at times. And then there were other times where I actually sat there to do a healing and I felt like my intuition wasn't on today and it wasn't working properly, and I felt like, almost like ready to give the person their money back for the session, and then they turn around and tell me, oh, I can't feel the pain anymore. And so the truth is, when you as a client, when you have absolute faith that something's going to happen for you, it does. And then the most important thing is moving on from that. So you don't sit there and think, hang on, is that pain still here? Or you don't go looking for that pain. Because the truth is, many people, and I've seen it over the years many, many times, where people will sit there and you do a healing on them and all of a sudden that pain disappeared and they're like, well, hang on, I can't feel that pain anymore, and they're looking for it. And what happens is we become so accustomed to having that pain there that it really, it really becomes like a friend. And so it's important to look at that aspect of it as well. But the key is faith. If you have faith that you're going to heal, you will heal. You'll be amazed how quickly you will heal too. But faith is the key. And this is something that I've said in many classes over the years, is I truly believe the main thing that we need to work on in our lives is believing quantum physics and believing that everything is part of the one energy, including ourselves. And so if that's the truth, if we are part of all that is, and everything is possible, then we can heal. And healing is very simple. And the truth is, healing is very simple. But as long as you go through and actually understand what the real issue is behind it, and there's a couple of other points here that I'll cover that are really fundamental in that as well. But so basically, like, your worthiness issues is important to look at. Any oaths, vows, or contracts that you may have in healing somebody else or taking an issue on from somebody else. And then, like, the religious beliefs, like, suffering is a big one, or, people believing that, the more they suffer, the closer they get to God. But faith is the key. If you have faith that you're going to heal, you'll be amazed how quickly that healing will take place, because faith is so important. Now, number 2 of things that I believe is, the reasons why people don't heal, is there's always a benefit to everything. If you have something that happens in your life, and look, there'll be many people out there watching this video thinking, hey, mate, if you think that I'm getting any benefits out of what I'm going through, you've got rocks in your head. But the truth is when you allow yourself to identify what's really going on there, you'll be amazed that there is always benefits. And if somebody gets sick, then one of the first questions that I'll ask them is, okay, well, what is it that you don't have to do anymore since you got that particular issue, right? And oftentimes, like, it may be, if a person is like a real go-getter, or they're a strong personality, it may be that all of a sudden, once they've gotten that issue, everybody's backed off, or they've gotten an illness, everybody's backed off, and they've stopped asking them to do everything for them. Because that is really common. A lot of the times people are there, and, they're the one that everybody relies on. They're the one that everybody comes to get things done for them. And all of a sudden, this person gets sick, and people start relying on themselves. People start moving away from asking that person for stuff. Then all of a sudden, it's a great, this illness has become like, a real blessing in that person's life. So it's really important to understand that there is always benefits to everything. One of the things for me was, one of the benefits for me when I got sick was, I was manifesting a year off to do absolutely nothing, right? And the truth is I got my year off to do absolutely nothing, but there was a couple of key points that I missed out. And, one was having the financial independence to be able to, sustain my lifestyle in that year off. And the other one was having the health to enjoy it. So, but there is always benefits to everything, that every illness, to every situation that comes up in our lives. And it's important that you allow yourself to see the benefits of it. Now, if people have gone through really traumatic things, like, say somebody's been raped or something like that, or, like a child getting abused by a parent or somebody close to them, it's really hard to look at that and think, okay, well, yeah, there's a benefit from that. But the truth is the benefit is not in the experience, The benefit is what comes from it. So the thing is that person may have built an inner strength that is just really incredible. And if they hadn't gone through such a traumatic thing, they may have not have allowed themselves to recognize that inner strength that they have. And so it's really important that, with certain, negative situations, it may not be so much like, the benefit come in a physical way, but it's more about like, an emotional or mental or, a characteristic that they've taken on, which they definitely could have learnt another way, but for that particular person at that particular point in time, that was the best way for them to learn that particular thing. And I really recommend the book, The Little Soul and the Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. It's a children's book, but it really outlines that point really powerfully. So it's about understanding that, it's not about the person. It's all about what it is that you've taken from that. So it's like receiving a present, you know, say at Christmas time or a birthday present or something, and you have that present and you don't open that present, then you're not really getting the gift. You've just got a present, and as long as you keep it there, it becomes a trophy. And every time you walk past that trophy, you're looking at it and you're thinking, I need to open that. I need to take the gift out. And what happens is we start punishing ourselves because, yeah, I should have done this, I should have done that. And it becomes like a procrastination. So what happened is all of a sudden, this gift is sitting there, and every time we look at it, we're punishing ourselves, we're diminishing ourselves. And so one of the keys is allowing yourself to open up that present and taking the gift out of it. And the gift is allowing yourself to see what good things have come from it. So maybe it's, you know, your character, or maybe all of a sudden it was support that you were able to get around you from that situation. Maybe you needed to realize how much support you actually have in your life, and to allow yourself to be supported, to allow yourself to receive support, because there's always, you know, somebody there. There's always somebody there for all of us. Or maybe you turned inside and maybe you allowed yourself to, you know, trust your intuition a lot more. So maybe you increased your faith after going through that situation. So it's really important to recognize what the benefits are. And, you know, the key questions is asking yourself or the other person, well, what is it that I no longer have to do since I've got this condition, or since I've got this illness, or since I've had this issue that I used to have to do? And that's really important to recognize. And that's the first step to it. And the other thing is, if a person says, well, you know, I'm not seeing any benefits, well, I always ask them, okay, well, what has it done for your character? Has it given you more inner strength? Has it given you more confidence in yourself? Has it taught you more self-reliance? And it's really important to allow that person to recognize, you know, what's there, because there's always benefits. And so, you know, when I'm working with clients, I'm really sensitive about that, asking about the benefits, because, you know, if somebody has gone through something really traumatic, or, you know, a horrible experience, then they're not instantly open to benefits. So you've got to really state it in a really kind and loving way, and allow them to expand their mind to actually step outside of that situation. Because if they're caught up in the issue, it can be very difficult for them to allow themselves to recognize, you know, what the benefits are. So that's really important. And then the third one, and this is really the key. This is really the key to healing anything in your life. What's next, right? Here's why it's important. A lot of people get an illness or have a particular issue in their life, and then all of a sudden that becomes their main focus in life. That becomes their main goal and their pursuit in life. And what happens is the subconscious is like the supercomputer of supercomputers, and it wants to be working, it wants to be creating, because that's our natural state. Like, human beings are incredible. We're incredible at creating things. And so giving your mind that opportunity to create things. But if the only thing that you've got on the go at the moment is this particular illness, then what's going to happen is that becomes like your major purpose. So my purpose, or, you know, for example, is my purpose is to heal a particular illness. So from that, I've gone through and, you know, I've studied all these, you know, spiritual courses, and, you know, I've allowed myself to awaken. I'm much more conscious, and, you know, I'm living a better life now, and, you know, I'm really enjoying studying all these, you know, spiritual courses. The subconscious will be thinking, well, hang on, if we get better, then that's all going to stop. We'll go back to how we were before. And so if there isn't a what next, then your subconscious is going to keep that in place, and your subconscious will keep you close enough to it, but you just can't reach it. And so it'll get frustrating. It'll get very frustrating. But the truth is, there isn't a bigger picture. So what is it that you're choosing to create in life? So to give you a little story, and many of you may have heard this before, but when I was in hospital and I was half dead, I had no idea whether I was going to get better, whether I was going to live or die. And it was a really scary time. And I remember being in my hospital bed, and the guy diagonally opposite me just got his results from the doctors. I was in the cardiothoracic ward where they do the heart bypass operations. And the doctors came back to him, and they were really excited. They were telling him, we've gotten your results, and, all we need to do is give you a pacemaker and you'll be fine, right? And so this guy starts freaking out. He starts getting, really upset. He starts swearing at the doctors. He's swearing at the nurses. His wife is sitting there. She's bawling her eyes out. He jumps out of bed. He's dressing himself. He's discharging himself from a hospital. And it was chaos. It was absolute chaos. I'd become friends with this guy because he was a gentleman, really nice guy. And, we'd gotten to know each other. And what it was this guy owns a bus. And in Australia, if you have a pacemaker, you're not allowed to drive a bus. So this guy was seeing his financial security going out the window. And that was really, really hard for him. And I remember in that moment, just sitting there on my hospital bed, not knowing if I was going to live or die, but I remember thinking, God, if there is something out there that can help people, show me what it is. And, a minute later, I went back to being half dead, and I'd completely forgotten all about it. But in that moment, I created my what next. All of a sudden, there was something that was important to me, that was more important to me than the benefits that I was getting from being sick. And so, if your what next is big enough, then you'll find that you will heal things really quickly. And that's the key. So it's about creating a vision for yourself. It's about creating something in your life that is a driving motivation. And one of the ways when you're working with people to identify their what next is like just asking them, okay, so if there's a physical illness, so I want you to close your eyes and visualize yourself completely healed from this physical illness. What are you going to do? What's next? And 9 times out of 10, honestly, you see people just get stuck in that moment. They freeze because they think, hang on, I have no idea what's next. This has been my major purpose. Or, another one is maybe their child is sick, and, all of a sudden, their major purpose is about healing their child. And as soon as the child heals, then they no longer have a purpose. So on an unconscious level, we could actually be keeping other people around us sick because we need to heal them. As long as you need to heal somebody, they need to be sick, right? Or they need to have a particular issue happening in their lives. So it's really important that you're able to recognize what's next. What's the bigger picture for you? And, that's why my Wealth Consciousness class is so powerful. And we've had so many amazing results all over the world because it gives you your what next. It gives you that bigger picture. It gives you with clarity and allows you to understand why you're manifesting certain things, why you're creating a certain vision for yourself. And that's the key, because once you know what the vision is, identify why it's important to you. Because if you know why it's important to you, then taking the relevant action to make that happen is going to be easy. The motivation, the inspiration, all of that comes from within because it's really meaningful to you. So identifying your what next is really powerful and really important. And, I know many of us have, sat there and we've done our, manifestations, but this is about finding something that truly, truly motivates you, something that truly excites you. And the thing is all of us have that. I've spoken to many people over the years, and, people have told me, well, I don't know what motivates me. I don't know what, that next thing is for me. The truth is you do know. The truth is you do know, but the thing is when you condition yourself and suppress yourself because you're afraid of maybe being exposed, or you're afraid that you've had a vision for something in the past and it hasn't worked out for you, then what can happen is people will get down on themselves. People will withdraw and so they'll be scared to allow themselves to have a bigger picture of that what next, and that's really important for us as people to recognize, like, what is it that's really important to us? What is it that, allows us to focus on, that dream life, the next step for us, and one of the keys to helping you identify what's next for you is looking at what are the things that make time disappear for you. What is it that you're passionate about? What is the truth of your life? What is really there for you? What is exciting to you? What is the thing that makes time disappear for you? And that's a really good that's a really good starting point, I guess, for identifying what's really important to you and identifying what's next for you. So they're the key things, right? So the first one is about really identifying what the true issue is. The second one is identifying what the benefits are, and the third one is what's next, right? So what I'd like to do now is...
We've got a couple of questions.
Oh, we've got a couple of questions?
Just two questions. I've got one from Tanya Cook, suggestions regarding chronic pain and inflammation. So have you got any insights on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So chronic pain, and look, the pain depends on whereabouts it is in the body, but inflammation is it means that your immune system is overworked. So it's probably on like high alert, and it's probably struggling with whatever's there. So what I'd be looking at in relation to that is there a situation like in your life that you feel like overwhelmed by, and it may have been something from many years ago. I'd be looking at when it first started. So was there like a situation that really overwhelmed you, that you felt it got the better of you? And I'd be looking at that because as long as there's inflammation there, then what's happening is your immune system is being bombarded, and it's feeling like it's under attack, and that's probably why the chronic pain's happening as well, because you're feeling like you're constantly under attack. So I'd be looking at when it started, when what the overwhelm is, where you began being overwhelmed. Yeah, and like there's many things that you can do there. So doing the digging work is really powerful, but I'd also supplement it with some vitamins as well. I mean, but speak to a naturopath and see. But just vitamin C, for example, is brilliant. And the worst thing that can happen to you with vitamin C, if you OD on it, is you get diarrhea. So that's not really an issue. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. What's the other question?
And I think also just emphasise the fact that when we deal with our emotions, we're creating an environment for the body to heal. Whether they decide to go mainstream with mainstream conventional ways of healing, or if they want to heal through vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if everybody can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you want to just point that out? And then the last question is, do you want to emphasise that, or do you just want to go to the next question?
Yeah. So basically, like dealing with your emotions, like it really helps you in identifying what the root cause is, and you work in conjunction with conventional medicine, with alternative medicine, whatever you're open to. So this is just complementary of what you're doing with your healthcare.
It could be just.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we've got a question from Theta Mohammed, and I've worked on so much on my stomach issues, but don't know why I keep having a relapse.
Okay, cool. So with the stomach issues and having a relapse, then what I'd be looking at there is basically like the stomach, the digestive system is how we digest life, right? So if you look back to when it started, or maybe even before it started, like you probably find that there's probably like a lot of abuse in there, and it's probably like abusing yourself, like punishing yourself, feeling insecure, those sorts of feelings, and when I tune in there, I feel like a lot of it's related to relationships. So it could be like your relationships with if was when you're a child, then it could be relationships with your siblings or your parents, or maybe even friends at school. But I do pick up there that it's predominantly related to relationships there for you. The other thing that I'd be looking at is like just punishing yourself over it. So I'd be looking at those sorts of issues as well. Like, if you're feeling like you're punishing yourself, or maybe even like, feeling punished by the people around you. It could be society. It could be, well, there you go. Yes, it's true. It started with relationships, yeah.
It started with relationships,
Yeah. Yeah, so like, see how you go with it, and like, give me an email, send me an email, and if you want more help with that, I can tune in and tell you what else to work on there. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at with that. So.
Okay. And I've got one more question from Merriman. It's what about Edith endometriosis and infertility from Merriman?
Yeah. So look, infertility, I'd be looking at maybe some oaths, vows, or contracts that you've got, like of sacrificing yourself, for God, like I mentioned earlier. That's probably the key thing I'd be looking at there. And I remember working with a lady once who went through a number of rounds of IVF, and her and her partner were really struggling to have children, and he was the problem. So he had like a low sperm count and stuff like that. And it was a major stress in their lives, but like, it was the key thing. And in this particular case, and I'm not saying it's for you or for anybody else, but in this particular case, what had happened was I sat with this lady and we're doing a healing, and I never tell somebody to leave their partner, but I said to her, I said, okay, well, if you and your partner do not have children, what does that mean for you? And she went in and she was looking at it, because like, I mean, if that's the case, then all of a sudden, then what happens is their focus needs to change in regards to their relationship. And so, because that was their main focus for many number of years. And so what ended up happening in this particular person's case was it allowed her to realize some things that were really profound for her in her life, and all of a sudden they ended up leaving each other. He found another partner, and he had a child, right? And well, he may have had more now, but I know that he definitely had one, because and obviously, like, the infertility wasn't an issue, because there was a bigger reason there. So that the two of them had like this common goal of wanting to have children, and that was the only thing that was really holding their relationship together. And as soon as that was gone, then he was able to have children when he was the problem. And then she's in another relationship where she's actually really happy and she doesn't really want to have children. And so the thing is yes, we could have all these issues going on, but sometimes, like, there's a little bit more to it. So you want to just sort of really look at yourself in relation to that, because, if you look at the environment, the family environment that you have there, it could be that unconsciously you don't want to bring a child into that environment. So maybe you're traumatized by your relationship with those people, and so all of a sudden it's like, well, hang on, if I have a child, I'm going to have to leave this child with my mother-in-law, and maybe you don't get along with your mother-in-law, then that's a major stress. And so you're probably unconsciously thinking, well, hang on, I'd rather just continue having issues with fertility rather than go through that. So it's important to look at that sort of thing. And I think, the endometriosis will relate to those relationship issues as well. Right. Okay.
It's really important. I think it's really important to emphasise that they can work on those issues and then resolve them.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely work on those issues. You can resolve them, but it's about recognizing what the issues are in the first place, and that's what's really important. Yeah. Because you can change everything. You can change your perception. You can change your relationship with the people around you as well. Right? So you'll be amazed how the people around you will change when you change yourself. right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So,
So you ready for some downloads?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, thanks, Mum. There was one other question, but I wasn't quite sure. It says, I'd like to ask you, I'm feeling that things are going too slow and I'm always reaching an 80%, but there's a target at the end. So I'm not quite understanding what the question is, but it might be that she's getting there.
Okay, that's a really good question. That's a really good question, because the thing is, and the question is like, things are going too slow, like, getting to 80% of achieving something and then, it not coming together. And what that is probably like a lot of belief systems around completion. That could be like a group consciousness thing, like in relation to your family, or maybe when you're at school. So maybe, you'd start reading books and you'd never finish those books, or, maybe you would start a project and you wouldn't get the project done. And so maybe unconsciously there's like an issue there in actually completing something. So what I'd be looking at is, okay, well, when was the first time you completed something and achieved it? And so what I'd be looking at is, okay, well, yeah, how did it make you feel? What were the positives about it? And then what happened next? What happened after that? Because probably you're traumatized. So, knowing like, the chase for something or the journey in achieving something is really, really, it's really rewarding, right? And it gets you into a higher vibration and you feel really good. But maybe there's trauma around the actual completion of something. So, maybe, you manifested a new bike, and then when you got that new bike, all of a sudden you'd get in trouble because you weren't sharing it with your siblings. And so all of a sudden this new positive thing that you achieved becomes like a negative. So I'd be looking at that. I'd be looking at, when the first time was that you achieved something, like actually completed something, what happened after that? Is there some sort of trauma or some sort of negative situation that came after that? Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some downloads for you. So just take a couple of deep breaths and release it. So just allow yourself to, let go of any stress that you've had today. Allow yourself to, just be present. Allow yourself just to relax, right? And if you don't know what that feels like, we'll teach you what it feels like to relax, that it's safe and possible for you to relax. Right? But what we'd like to do there is to teach you what it feels like to actually address the real issues in your life, to be able to recognize what the real issues are, and to know that you have the ability to deal with those real issues in a loving and easy way. Right? So what I want to do is just teach you how to live without expecting conflict. Teach you how to live without expecting to be shut down by other people. And what we want to do is just teach you what it feels like to be safe to express yourself with discernment in a loving and easy way. And also that you're able to recognize whatever benefits are keeping any conditions that you have in your life in place at the moment. And knowing that it's safe for you to allow the benefits of your vision or your ambitions, your goals, to be greater than the benefits of keeping you held back. Right? So knowing how to recognize what the issues are that are holding you back, what the benefits are, and allowing yourself to move beyond that in a loving and easy way. And the other thing that we want to do is teach you what it feels like to have clarity on your purpose, to have clarity on what's next for you, to have clarity on what's really important to you, and to know why you're choosing the manifestations that you're choosing in your life, why they're really important to you. Okay, and the other thing that we want to know is or teach you is what it feels like to love and appreciate yourself, what it feels like to recognize how amazing you truly are, and that it's safe for you to step into your power, that it's safe for you to be or fulfill your potential. And what I want to do is just teach you how to live without worrying about what everybody else around you thinks. Teach you how to let go of thinking that other people's opinions are more important than you. And teach you what it feels like to be safe, to love and appreciate yourself, to know that you're amazing, and to know that success is your birthright, that it's safe and possible for you to have success. So if you're happy to receive those, just say yes. Okay, so it's been a real pleasure to be able to share this time with you. I love answering your questions and spending this time, having the opportunity for for you guys to see me and to be in your part of your journey as well. So I'm here in Berlin now. Today is Wednesday. I start teaching Wealth Consciousness on Friday through to Sunday. So if you're in Berlin, come and join us for Wealth Consciousness. You'll absolutely love it. It's amazing. And then from here I fly to Kazakhstan. So I'll be teaching Wealth Consciousness in Kazakhstan from the 20th to the 22nd of September this month. And then the Monday, Tuesday, I'll be teaching You and Your Inner Circle, which is really cool. I'm excited to be teaching that one in Kazakhstan. And then when I get back to Sydney, I'll be teaching Intuitive Anatomy, and that is the best course ever. So it's 3 weeks, Monday to Friday for 3 weeks. It'll truly transform your life, and you'll be really amazed how powerful that class is for you in taking you forward and allowing you to get so deep into your issues that you're clearing so much stuff that you'll be able to recognize a lot more of your purpose. I mean, it was in Intuitive Anatomy that I came out of that class and decided that I was going to teach Theta Healing. Up until that point, I was just excited to be alive, and I was just happy, to go back into engineering or something. But doing that class allowed me to see what was really important to me and allowed me to recognize what my purpose is. And here I am today in Berlin. So it's just such a life-changing course, and I look forward to, sharing that with you. But I think Teresa's trying to interrupt me and tell me something, so...
No, that's all good. It does help you master the Theta Healing technique if people really want to learn how to heal themselves.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so it really is about mastering Intuitive Anatomy. Yeah. Mastering healing. So healing yourself, healing other people. The amount of people that do it just for themselves and use it in their own, businesses or in their own careers is just incredible. And the changes that it gives them, the way it fast tracks, your healing and your spiritual growth is really, really amazing. So, yeah. So, guys, it's been a pleasure sharing this time with you. What's that?
I said if people are new to Theta Healing, we've got the free healing workshop as well on Wednesday the 23rd of October.
Okay, yeah. So anyone who's new to Theta Healing, if you want to have a little bit more understanding about what it's about and come and check it out, we've got a free healing workshop on the 23rd of October in Sydney. So I look forward to seeing you all very soon, and I really appreciate being able to share this time with you and sharing your journey and helping you along the way. So it's almost 1 o'clock here in Berlin. So I'm just starting my day really, but yeah, for a lot of you guys it's nighttime. So have a wonderful evening wherever you are in the world. I look forward to catching up with you very soon. Thank you.